let's talk about the clean sweep event. Whether you tried your hand at the event last night when it first showed up, or this morning and you find it still really hard, there are a few things that you should know that will make you feel better about your performance. For one, if it seems unfamiliar and just different from everything else, that's because this is a new event. JC have never released it before, except for a beta test, which was frankly very well received. But I guess what happened was they did the beta testing, people were happy, people were excited, and then just before releasing it as an event for everyone, they gave it a ton of steroids, basically. It's like the yellow minions and the blue ones. It's not just that they made it harder than the beta test version, it's that they made it almost impossibly hard. So if you feel bad about how you did at a Quidditch match, especially if you're used to doing very well at the friendlies, potentially getting perfect scores a lot of the time, and doing well at the house matches, you're not alone. You're definitely not the only person who failed at this miserably. Exhibit A, I actually have screen captured my first playthrough for the event, so I'll show you that. Before I started the event, I didn't know about the beta testing. I didn't really know anything. I just knew that I have never tried this before, so the look of the event, all of it seemed new, except for the intro to the game itself. And I thought, oh, well, I guess this is just gonna be like any other friendly. Boy, was I wrong. The first maneuver actually ran out of time because the time limitation that they set was really short, whilst at the same time, the speed at which the halos move around the circles are so much faster than what you're used to. Plus, they don't move in any sort of pattern, like none at all. So while I was trying to adjust unsuccessfully, I simply ran out of time. After the first maneuver, I thought, okay, let's try this again. And I thought I was off to a good start, but then this happened. Initially, I thought, well, maybe I did get the wrong one. I mean, it was fast and I was already a bit intense from the first maneuver. It could happen, but then after I watched the playback, I realized that what had really happened is I had hit the first circle as I was supposed to, but right after that, the halo that's around the circle next to it, which happens to be number 4, had spread so far out that it actually touched my ball, and by that, I was out the game. By the third maneuver, I finally managed to redeem myself a little bit, but by then it was too late and I had lost the match. After my very unsuccessful first attempt, I looked again at the rewards, because that's the whole point we do events in most cases. I also looked at the requirements necessary to qualify for the rewards, and even with my very limited abilities to do math, I figured that one would have to do 8 successful streaks in the 4 and something days that the event lasts to get the final reward, which seemed kind of unreasonable, especially since the outfit is not even that special and different. It doesn't stand out. Frankly, it's very similar to the stuff that you can buy in the shop. So, me being the kind of person who likes to play the game efficiently and work smarter, not harder, just figured, well, in 4 days there's gonna be another event, I'll get the books from there, and that is that. I did do what I often do. I went on Reddit. If you haven't joined the subreddit for Hogwarts Mystery, go do it. Because especially if you don't have many friends around you who play the game, having a sort of community that you can share anything regarding the game with is going to make it so much better. And it did very much so regarding this event. Even though I wasn't setting my expectations high, I had already decided that this event is not worth it, it was still nice to see the amount of people complaining and sharing their own frustrations about the event and how much they themselves struggled as well. Because even if you don't care, you do care a little bit, and it makes you feel better when you know that you were not the only one. Boy, you were not the only one. But it went beyond that. There were a few people who had already managed to write complaints and messages to JC, as in Jam City, who make the game, to express their dissatisfaction, and also the people who had played the beta test and knew what the event had looked like initially would also like come in and say it was supposed to be easier. It wasn't supposed to be like this. Also, since it's Reddit, there were quite a few people bringing up arguments that I hadn't even thought about, but that also made sense. Like, I already mentioned my own, like, very simplified math, but there was actually a person who had calculated just how much time it would take. And frankly, if you wanted to get the main reward in the 4 days that you had to finish the event, considering that before each new streak that you start, you have to grind classes to get enough tickets, you would have to do 2 perfect or near perfect streaks every day for those 4 days, while grinding for the whole day to get the tickets. Technically possible, in reality, insane. Another great argument that was brought up in the subreddit was the actual technical glitches in the game, whereas the ball would get stuck and you would lose a maneuver not because you did something wrong, but because the game glitched. And that would happen on several occasions. And the last argument, and probably the one that pissed me off the most, frankly, is a lot of the people who play the game, as it turns out, have some sort of a disability where something very fast moving can actually cause them headaches, or they have physical disabilities and like not full control over their hands, so making something move so fast and precisely is causing them like genuine trouble. And imagine being that kind of person and struggling and not knowing that people who don't have these kind of issues are still struggling. If you don't know that, it just makes you feel bad about yourself. And like, why do that? It's just not worth it. So what happened next, after, I'm assuming, a ton of complaints, JC actually changed the game. I mean, I've seen this happen with other video games where the gaming community go like, we will not take this, and essentially the company changes some of the principles in the game. I had not seen this happen with Hogwarts Mystery, but it did. They changed the amount of points you need to get to qualify for the main reward. It dropped from 2,700 to 1,400, and they also removed time limitations for the first 2 games of the streak, and I think they also made them slower. The harder games are still hard, but at least you have some time to get into the rhythm and potentially be more successful. So, is it better? Yes. Is it worth it? Probably not. The one thing we should take away from this is that when enough people express their feelings about this particular event, JC did take it to consideration and actually changed the game to our favor. So I hope this video made you feel better and potentially answered some of the questions you may have had regarding the event. In the future, I will be making more videos about Hogwarts Mystery, giving kind of tips and basic principles to keep in mind when doing events, and just essentially helpful tips to make the gameplay smoother, easier, more efficient, and consequently more enjoyable. Thank you for watching, and see you soon!